Okay, welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're a photographer, a designer, any kind of creator, you need to brace yourself. The ground is literally shifting right under our feet. Today, we're going to jump forward a bit to 2026 to see this massive revolution happening in photo editing. And it's a change that's way less about the tools we use and a whole lot more about, well, having an assistant.
For as long as I can remember, editing has been this really manual process, right? You grab a mouse, you're meticulously pushing sliders for exposure, contrast, saturation, you know the drill. It's pixel by pixel work. Well, that whole era, it's pretty much over. By 2026, we've completely flipped the script. We've gone from pushing sliders to commanding assistance. You're not operating the tool anymore. You're giving the software a mission to complete. And the key to this whole thing is a term you're going to hear a lot: agentic AI. Now, this isn't just about slapping on a filter. Think of it like this. You can now give your software an entire job description using just plain English. I mean, imagine being able to say, hey, go through these 500 wedding photos, pick out the absolute best ones, edit them in my signature style, and then get them ready for the client. And the AI, it just does it, the entire workflow.
But of course, there's a catch. There's always a catch, right? There's this fundamental trade-off. The speed is just, it's mind-blowing. Things that used to take hours now literally take seconds. But the problem, and it's a big one, is reliability. So yeah, we've basically been handed a rocket ship, but the steering is, let's just say it's a little wobbly. And that brings us to the single biggest challenge of this whole new world. Yeah, that problem has a name: hallucinations. This is what happens when the AI tries so hard to be helpful that it just makes stuff up. It invents details that were never there. It might throw in a totally bizarre object, completely misunderstand what you asked for, or create something that looks like it came straight out of a fever dream. Honestly, this one issue is what defines the limits of all these new AI assistants. So, okay, what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's take a quick tour of the major AI agents that are out there in 2026. They pretty much fall into three distinct categories. First up, we've got the heavyweights, the big guns. These are the professional suites built for career photographers, the people who need all the power, all the precision, and deep integration for their day-to-day work. And of course, we have to start with the undisputed king, Adobe Photoshop. The headline for 2026 is that Photoshop is finally leaning into its role as a true AI agent. And a big part of that is integrating some really powerful third-party tools right into its workflow. So the star of the show is that agentic AI we talked about, letting you hand off these complex multi-step jobs. But just as important is the new built-in Topaz integration. That means you get world-class upscaling and sharpening without ever leaving Photoshop. And then there's Harmonize, which is an absolute game changer for anyone doing composites. You paste an object into a new scene and it instantly matches the lighting and color. It just makes everything look like it belongs there. But here's Photoshop's big critical flaw. Its main type of hallucination is something I like to call instruction amnesia. So you can give it a three-step command, right? Something like, okay, remove the background, then color grade for a rainy mood, and finally add a reflection. And what happens? The AI will nail step 1 and step 3, but it completely forgets to do the color grade in the middle. It's like it has short-term memory loss, and it is so frustrating when it happens. All right, let's move on to our second category, what I call the magic editors. This is where things get a little more wild. These are for the enthusiasts, the artists, the creatives who aren't just trying to document reality. They want to totally remix it. So two big players really dominate the space. First, you've got Luminar Neo, which is basically a creative playground for things like swapping out skies or adding new elements. But its critical flaw is what you could call a physics failure. You can replace a tree that's next to a lake, and it'll forget to update the reflection, leaving this weird ghost of the old tree in the water. Then you have Topaz Photo AI, which is like the rescue ranger for fixing bad, blurry photos. Its hallucination is, honestly, a bit creepier. It's the sibling problem. Its face recovery feature can be so aggressive that it actually changes a person's bone structure, making them look subtly off, a little less like themselves and a little more like their brother or sister. Okay, our final category is all about one thing, and one thing only: speed. These are the web and mobile tools built for social media managers, content creators, basically anyone who needs to make good-looking stuff, like, right now. Canva, of course, leads the pack here, but its Magic Expand feature can sometimes create what I call haunted backgrounds. It tries to fill in empty space, and you end up with these bizarre floating chairs or even extra limbs. it gets weird. Then there's PixArt, which is the big Gen Z trendsetter. Its main problem is something called style bleed. You apply a cool artistic filter and the AI gets a little too enthusiastic. It hallucinates textures where they just don't belong, and suddenly someone's beautiful hair looks like a pile of spaghetti.
So taking this tour kind of reveals something really important. Even though all these glitches sound different, instruction amnesia, physics failures, haunted backgrounds, they're not random. They all point back to the same core limitations. They show us three sort of unbreakable rules about what AI, even in 2026, just does not get. Okay, rule number one, the physics problem. AI has no real-world common sense. It doesn't actually understand light or shadows or reflections, so it'll add a new lamp to a room but completely forget to change the direction of any of the shadows. Number two, the likeness problem. When an AI fixes a face, it is literally inventing new pixels from scratch. For a creative, maybe that's fine, but for a photojournalist, that's a huge problem because it can subtly change who a person is. And finally, rule number three, the text problem. You've probably seen this one. To this day, AI is just awful at recreating text inside of photos. It turns a simple stop sign into some kind of unreadable, alien-like gibberish. So the big question is, where does this leave you, the human creator? It's easy to look at all this and think your job is disappearing, but that's not what's happening. It's not disappearing, it's evolving. Your role is actually changing from being a hands-on technician to something, well, something much more important.
Think about it like this. Your old job was being a technician. You were the one down in the weeds, pushing pixels and masking things out. Your new job is to be the creative director. You're the one with the vision now. Your job is to guide the AI agent, to give it the right prompts and, this is the most important part, to curate what it spits out. You are the final judge of quality. You're the one who spots the hallucinations and decides which version actually makes the cut. And really, this is the main takeaway from all of this. This incredible new power doesn't make human creativity obsolete. Not at all. It just redefines it. The most valuable skill is no longer technical execution. The new premium is on taste, on vision, and having that critical eye to know how to steer these incredibly powerful but still very flawed tools. Which, leaves us with one last really big question. As these AI agents get better and better, the very definition of what it means to be creative is kind of up for grabs. So I'll leave you with this. In a world where anyone can just type a sentence and create an image, what does it actually mean to be a creator? That's the question we're all going to have to answer together.